Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. AMC's big day is coming tomorrow. And as the street says, get ready for intense volatility this week. And if intense volatility means AMC stock is in the green, well, so be it. AMC stock is up about 0.5% today. It has been a very volatile start to the trading day. At one point, AMC stock was up almost 2%. You have since come down a bit, but you're still in green territory. So let's give you a rundown of everything that's happening so far today, what Fed Jerome Powell is saying so far on the day today, and what the Ortex data does look like for AMC, guys. So let's get into it. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. So tomorrow, big day for AMC. Now, there's so many different ways this could play out. Ultimately, I think it's been so negative that you get a bullish reaction. You've priced in the negativity. You've priced in the bad news. If you wanted to bottom line it, that's it. That's what I would say, is you've priced in all of the bad news. So in the short term, you probably get a rally. Now, does the rally happen from the start of this week? Does it happen, say, Friday and next week until you get the reverse split? Or do you kind of trade sideways, really don't do too much until the reverse split, and then you move higher after? Hard to say. But a couple things we do know is that when AMC raises capital, the stock rallies. When AMC's RSI is oversold, the stock rallies. Both of those things are happening. What do? Ultimately crush the short thesis. So there's a lot of reasons why AMC could potentially rally here. Pick your poison, I guess, whatever you guys, want to come up with. There's a lot of reasons why the stock could rally. Let me know down below in the comment section, what do you think is going to happen this week, as well as the next couple of weeks with this court proceeding? Do you expect a bullish rally, or do you expect the stock to continue to sell down? If you think the stock will continue to sell down, where do you think the stock is going from here? You've already fallen a lot recently, and this move from $6 per share, over $6 per share back in May, to $4 per share currently. You priced this court proceeding in during this move from the highs of $8.50 that we've seen in February of 2023. You're down 50% from the highs. You've more than priced in the court proceedings from here. So just let me know how far you think AMC would have to drop if it is a bearish catalyst for AMC. Now, let's go ahead and get into some of the Ortex data. But first, before we do that, you're having this conference with ECB, Christina Lagarde, with the UK Central Bank, Fed Jerome Powell, and the Japanese Central Bank. Basically, they've said a lot of the same things that we've heard before. You're not getting a whole lot of new information right now. But a couple things that were interesting from Fed Jerome Powell was he finally acknowledged the markets and this market rally. And Sarah Eisman from CNBC, she said, so with stocks going up, she blatantly just asked the question. She said, with stocks going higher, does this hurt what you guys are trying to do at the Fed to control inflation? And he said, we don't look at any particular market. We look at a lot of different markets. But he said it does not. He said they're not worried about that. That's not something that they really consider. He said that they don't try to get a market to do one thing or another. Meaning he doesn't come on, to try to say things to cause the markets to fall. He said back in Jackson Hole of 2022, when the markets really sold off the first time after the initial sell-off, this big bounce right here, that was right here in August of 2022, when things looked like we might be in a new bull market again, he said they weren't trying to move the markets. Interesting. So that's a reason why markets are coming back here today, is because of those comments from Fed Jerome Powell. And obviously it's going to be very volatile today. That is for sure. But those were positive things that Fed Jerome Powell said. Very indicative of stocks are okay where they are. That the Fed's not going to try to cause a, market to crash from here. So there is that. Now, a couple interesting things we're seeing from Ortex as well, if you have not seen this. Well, AMC is still on the threshold securities list. I'm sure you guys have seen this. All right, this is probably not a big shocker. Live short interest of free float sitting at about 24%. 123 million shares currently sold short. But look at these cost to borrow fees. Cost to borrow average, 582%. For the cost to borrow average. Folks, this is huge. Cost to borrow max, 856%. Get out of here, dude. That's insane. Cost to borrow minimum sitting at 8%. Earlier in the day today was at 370%, which I think would be more in line with where you're seeing the cost to borrow max and cost to borrow average. Interactive brokers. And I know some people question whether these numbers are just like flukes or where they come from. Well, doesn't look like it. Interactive brokers tends to favor institutions and hedge funds. Most of you guys do not have an interactive brokers account, so they tend to have the lowest cost to borrow fees. That's probably why Ortex has partnered with them to put their numbers right here. Well, yesterday AMC's cost to borrow fees were almost 200%, 196%. Today, they are 328%. Why? Why is this happening? Well, the easy answer that I could tell you is there's a lot of volatility coming over the next 24 hours. And when there's a lot of volatility, cost to borrow fees go higher. And this is really not even taking into account the fact that there's quite a few shares available, right? Today's share availability is over 100,000 to 150,000. That's a lot of shares. So that is having a, kind of a drawdown effect on the cost of borrow fees. Later in the day today, when we see the share availability likely fall, these cost of borrow fees from interactive brokers could even go higher from here. So I think there's going to be a lot of, volatility. And I think that is going to be a problem for hedge funds, right? Especially heading into tomorrow. Because these cost of borrow fees put a lot of pressure on them on a day-by-day basis. I mean, if you think about an annualized, there's 365 days out the year. Shorts pay interest on every single day of the year, no matter if their markets are closed or not. So 365 days, cost of borrow fees 800%. Simple math there is almost 2.5% cost of borrow fee every single day. That means you need to see a move downwards, and you need to see that quickly, or you're not in a great position, right? Now, same story as usual, with the option activity, you have seen 20 orders totaling $2.78 million with a positive order value of 2%. So not a lot of option activity yet, but the orders that you have seen so far are, no surprise, super, super bearish. And when orders are this bearish, you probably don't want to be bearish as well. It's going to pay out a lot more if you do get a rally. You do get a bullish response to AMC share price. And that's just typical, right? That's down to what Warren Buffett said like decades ago. Buy when others are fearful, be fearful when others are greedy. That's it. Simple as that. When everyone is greedy, be fearful. Don't buy. When everyone is fearful, be greedy. Start buying everything. Simple as that. Same thing is true with individual stocks. And in this case with AMC, everyone is fearful. so it's time to be greedy. Days to cover sitting at almost 9 and 91% share utilization. This has actually fallen. First day that it fell was on June 26th, so this week. Potentially seeing some shares being sold out there, potentially some ape shares that are distorting some of these numbers. We've seen Intera Capital and other firms selling a lot of ape recently, and that could definitely be distorting the share utilization. So just a theory, something to keep in mind. And now, if we take a look at the economic calendar of what we can expect here, so you're going to have a 17-week bond auction coming in about 25 minutes, 20-ish minutes at 11:30 in the morning. I don't believe that's a huge bond auction, but at 1 p.m. today, you have a 7-year bond auction, and this is going to be a much bigger bond auction. I believe it's around 30 billion. We'll see if we can get those exact numbers, but I think it's around 30 billion. So it's draining more liquidity out of the markets. Now, the bank stress test. This is going to be by far the biggest event of today at 4:30 p.m. Bank stress test. This is going to show our banks passing their stress test in light of the recent developments in the banking crisis, the new requirements potentially you're seeing to bank stress tests. Do banks pass this? And what shape are banks in? I think that's ultimately going to be a huge question. So I think some of this data could be important today. Obviously, bank stress tests will be important, but that's going to be after markets close. So I think that could be a bigger reaction coming tomorrow. Now, tomorrow you're going to get Fed Jerome, well, really later tonight if you guys are night owls. Fed Jerome Powell will be speaking at 2:30 in the morning again. This is not going to really have too much of an impact to the markets. We're probably not going to hear any new information. We're hearing from Powell right now, so it's probably not going to be the biggest deal, right? Because he's probably not going to change his speech up dramatically within the course of 12 hours or so. Probably not going to happen. But nonetheless, you got to put it. You got to acknowledge every time Fed Jerome Powell speaks. Now, coming tomorrow morning at 8:30 in the morning, you're going to get GDP price index quarter over quarter, GDP growth rate quarter over quarter, final numbers for Q1, initial jobless claims coming in tomorrow as well for June 24th. You're expecting 266,000. If it's higher than that, I mean, if it's much higher than that, then that's where markets would get quite fearful on that. If it comes in line, I wouldn't expect anything too crazy. Corporate profits, real consumer spending, a lot of finalized data for the first quarter that is coming out. You are going to get new data at 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow with pending home sales year over year. You're expecting that at negative 17%. Pending home sales month over month, you're expecting that at negative 0.6. So not great numbers there, but I mean, a little bit better than what we have seen, obviously, recently. Pending home sales have been super negative. So negative 17 would be getting better a little bit, believe that or not. Now, you are going to get a 2-month bond auction and a 1-month bond auction tomorrow at 11:30 in the morning as well as Fed Bostic at 3 p.m. tomorrow also. So there is that. Big catalyst are going to be PCE as well as personal income and personal spending coming out on Friday. So that's kind of the rundown that we have. I'm just going over this data because tomorrow morning you're also going to get obviously the court situation from AMC, and in conjunction with some of these catalysts, but really I think just in and of itself, the court proceedings will be a very big deal for AMC, obviously, right? I personally think the stock's going to rally. I think the bad news has been priced in, but we'll have to see what happens. Now, if we look at the Stocko tracker data as well, something I've talked about in a couple videos now, there is a lot, or I shouldn't say a lot. Better way to phrase this is there's not a lot of option activity for the next 3 weeks or so relative to what we've seen in the past. So if you do see AMC get some new orders coming in, if orders start to turn bullish, you could have a bigger effect to AMC's actual share price, right? If you get 50,000, 100,000 options coming in and they're bullish, that's going to have a big impact to AMC. When, I mean, for next week, you have 72,000 calls out the money and 93,000 calls in the money. Like, if you were to see the option activity double, that's going to be a pretty big deal. On the put side, even for next week, you have 15,000 puts in the money and 53,000 puts out the money. So, it's not a guarantee, obviously, but I think after this catalyst tomorrow, you could get some fresh new positioning in AMC, guys. So that is basically it for this video. AMC stock is up almost 1% as we do go ahead and wrap up this video. Really, as I expected as well on the Sunday video, for not too much to actually happen this week. And nothing is really happening this week. Tomorrow is going to be the big day, but we'll see. That could be a pretty muted day as well until we get to next week or until we get the reverse split itself, guys. So that is going to be it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.